Why, hello there. How you doing? Oliver Joyce from Whiskeybarrel Studios here. And welcome to the second phase of Swords and Sandals Immortals, where I can finally start showing off gameplay and character creation and leveling up and all the good things that we've been basically waiting 6 months to see. You know, the last bunch of videos, I've been doing devlogs of this game since basically March, I think. And I've been talking about it, but had nothing to show. But with the big trailer reveal last week and the associated coming soon Steam page, finally we can start not just talking about the game, but actually showing off work in progress footage of the game. And I have to stress that, work in progress. What you see is subject to change, improvements, polish. Polish is something that's going to come towards the end. You know, little sort of transition animations and, you know, highlight sheens and all that sort of stuff. There is some of that in the game already, and you'll probably be pleasantly surprised with what you see, but there's more to come. So just be aware that everything I'm showing you in this video and in future videos will be iterated upon and improved. That's what game dev is. It's all about iterations and redoing and improving and move things around and that kind of stuff, especially with things like UI, user interface. And, you know, I can't tell you how many times I redid the interfaces for Crusaders and Pirates and that kind of thing, and Swords and Sandals Immortals is so far proving no exception, as I've designed and redesigned it many times. But today, I want to show you the beginnings of the character creation screen. You know, it's actually more than beginnings. It's quite a fleshed out little interface now. So let's jump over to it, and I'll go through a few things with you. So here we are at the character creator screen, and the first thing you're going to see is just your standard generic Fatorian gladiator. Now I'm debating whether to give you a random gladiator straight up or just to sort of default it to just the most vanilla, plain Fatorian that you can kind of customize into whatever you desire. And you're going to notice these backgrounds. These are some cool sort of almost watercolor backgrounds that I've found, and I've got not hundreds, but I've got lots and lots of them, and they actually look really cool as sort of backgrounds for each world. And I've done a little tilt shift filter on them to sort of you know, just create a nice bit of depth to it. That is not quite finished yet. I want to add a little shadow and then maybe a little sort of platform to stand on there. But each one you'll notice has a different background. So Fator has that one. Braxis has this lovely sort of, you know, tended fields there and some forest in the background. Drakendir has some more sort of golden plains and high mountains. Edengarth is a bit more swampy, if you will. But yeah, you have a species, you have a homeland. Now, the homeland for humans, actually humans have quite a lot of homelands compared to other characters. And I wanted to do this just to basically give you a bit more variety than just being you're a human and you always got, you know, white skin or whatever. You can of course be a Fatorian and change your skin color just by tapping the skin color button below. And they have all the different gamuts of skin color, from dark to light to very dark, that kind of thing. And you can of course be a dark skin Fatorian or a you know, a light skin Takashi or whatever it is. There is a default that it will go back to when you create a new one. This is the Drakon, this is the default here. But you can change that as you wish. Edengarth, Takash Desert, Soul's Gateway, the Badlands, and so on. And down the bottom here, you're going to notice a little bit of information about humans, and the humans are the most populous and prosperous people in all Brandor. Humans can be found most anywhere. Fator is one of the oldest cities in Brandor. The shining kingdom of Fator is set amongst rolling hills and green forests. It is synonymous with visions of splendor, prosperity, and chivalry, a shining beacon of hope against the dark powers of the world. Now, what you see down here, this actually in the final version will probably disappear. I'm going to show this at the end once your character is created. And also when you visit each area, you're going to see information about it. It'll sort of tell you about Fator and you know, Drakendir and so on, because you actually go around the map visiting these various cities and fighting, which is kind of cool. But I put it in there just for now because I didn't have anything. But that will be replaced with the skills that each species and homeland have. So each species will have one unique skill, and that may be a skill that you can use once in battle or a passive skill and so on. And I'm toying with the idea of giving each homeland a slight passive bonus as well. So maybe the species have unique battle abilities and the homelands have different traits, that kind of thing. I'm playing around with that, but I'm hoping that each one is, makes each race feel a little bit different and a bit unique. And of course, some species will be very different to play. Automatons, for example, probably won't have stamina, for example, or the undead, won't suffer any damage when losing limbs because they don't care, that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. That's going to come in the months to follow. Once I've got all the skill trees and everything, I'm going to be going through that. All right, so basic human here. We can change his hair. Lots of different hairstyles to choose from. You can see the little Roman numeral there, so you can have hair 10, 11. You can change the hair color, of course. There's the same sort of standard browns, reds, blacks, greys, that kind of thing for hair. But I'm going to allow players to buy bottles of hair dye and that kind of thing to change their hair and make it purple and stuff like that. That'll be sort of, you buy them from the tavern. They're not straight out of the box. You can, of course, change your gender. It's the first look. People ask me, are there female characters in the world? Of course there are. This is something that I've wanted to put in every Sword and Sandals, and I regret not doing that in Sword and Sandals Medieval. But every other Sword and Sandals has had male and female gladiators, and they are back for this one. And the females can't have beards, but they can have a bald head. I'm not sure. I'll probably have to have a list of hairstyles that are not available for females, but they've got some pretty cool hair. They actually have their own unique... They're actually... Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, these are the female hair. I can't remember, actually. They have their own special hairstyles as well. I think I've given them access to the men and the women one, but I think I just gave access to everyone. It's been a little while since I did this, but there's some really cool hairstyles, as you can see there. You can also do facial features, scars. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on the face when you're doing the facial features stuff, because it can be a little hard to see when it's zoomed out like this. But glasses, monocle, and I'll be adding more of those as time passes. But she looks pretty cool. We can also change the species. Of course we can. So there are a number of different species in the game. Gunterian from, of course, Warmhaven. You can have Warmhaven, Gunteria, Bog Stench, or Warmhaven. The human species has many more homelands than the other different species. Eldor Hath, with a unique looking chin there. You can have a look at him with the male there. As you go between them, you can see they're from Zorgogris, Senat Sin, Achan Hath, are the three different homelands there, and they all have their own unique default skin. They're sort of purples and deep blues and so on. Cycladian, of course, with the one eye. They can be from Pilthia. Sagalis, which is, of course, across the sea. So we're bringing in gladiators from all around Tritonia, not just Brandor, which is kind of cool. Quartermoon Cove, which if you've played Sword and Sandals Pirates, is a little reference to that. Founded by the Cycladians during the Four Oceans War, this oceanic stronghold lies far to the west of Brandor, shadowed by huge limestone cliffs. So maybe Cycladians have a bonus when it rains, and they're used to sort of the water and everything like that. So I'm going to sort of play into all that, and they'll certainly have bonuses at nighttime fights, that kind of stuff. Port Skalden is another one. Pilthia, yeah. Fae, these are the magical creatures from Falsewood. They have yellow eyes, if you can see. Zierhath, which is, of course, the Forbidden Depths. Those guys. Now, I'm not going to go through them all. I'm going to leave a few of these different species, but let's go with this Fae Gladiator. We'll make her a girl. You can't change the hair of certain species, and because that's a particularly human trait. I want the different... you can change the hair style, of course, but not the hair colors and the skin colors. They are tied to the homeland. That kind of thing. All right, let's go with Finat. So each different character will have a unique random name, and that name is generated from a pool of thousands of names. And each species draws from a different name pool. I can't remember which is which, but we have Turkish names in there. We have Polish names. We have names from like Norway and Denmark and Iceland, that kind of thing. Of course, English, French, Italian names. We have lots of Asian names, some Japanese names. I believe there's even some Thai names in there. I went through and I've added lots and lots of names and sort of tied each one to a different homeland. So you'll start seeing names more than just the usual English names that you've seen in previous games, which I think is kind of cool. Plus, there's lots of interesting fantasy names for sort of skeletal creatures and so on. I'm going to be revealing the skeletons and other creatures in later games, but in later videos. But you have seen them in the trailer. And of course, yes, there are playable automatons too. So next, there's also a random button which we won't press because we've kind of like this one right now. Okay, gladiator name Fina. We can change that to something like Illyria or something, generic fantasy. Taunt quote Ra. You can go, I am invincible. Wish. Oh, hang on. I pressed that one. Back to gameplay. I've got a bunch of shortcuts in my OBS streaming program that sometimes trigger, and there you see the logo. Back to that. Anyway, you can, if you remember previous Sword and Sandals games, you could change the height. You can make her a shorty, 4'11", or very tall, up to 7'7". That's a really tall girl. We'll make her 6'3", and the weight scales accordingly. So you notice the weight below there. You can also change the weight up and down like this to make them skinnier or bigger. If we go back, I want to show you something too. If we made her a male, when you change the weight, notice the muscular properties. What's the best? Muscularity is the word I was looking for. There's one missing. That's the skinny one. I haven't got that made yet, but if you slide it below there, you'll get a quite skinny, ribs showing, that kind of thing. This is the medium one, and then fully muscular, the big buff kind of Swords and Sandals 3 He-Man style gladiator. And of course, you have different voices. This is the Decard set, and you'll wonder why. Oh! 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 Hey! Of course. Oh! That's a classic one. You can change. There's lots of different ones. You can also change the pitch. This is kind of funny. And there's lots of different ones. Certain species have their own voice sets, automatons, skeletons, Sagan blobs, that kind of thing. And I want to thank everybody, Barty, and there's a ton of gladiators, people that have done voices for the game, including my wife and my boy, Isaac. So one of my boys. Charlie's too young to do a voice for the game, little baby Charlie. But let's get a female one. And that's my wife doing the voices. All right, so okay. After that, statistics. Now this about stat that doesn't have any rollovers or anything yet. That will be a little bit of text that will show you, why you'd want strength or why you want agility and so on. You start off with 10 points to spend, and you can choose one of these 8 primary stats. These stats are final in the game. You know what they do, but they will be subject to... I want a lot of synergies in the game. I want there to be no useless stats like there have been in previous games. You can buff strength all the way up. Reset that. In previous iterations of this, I did sort of a Dark Souls system where each point spent would be more and more expensive. So, if it costs 1 point, if it costs 100 points for strength, the next time it would be 110, then 120. I may yet go back to that. I'm not sure. I want to play around with it. I kind of did that to discourage sort of people just stacking one stat completely. But then who am I to tell you how to play the game, if you know what I mean? There's a bug. When you reset stats, didn't reset the stamina. So you could have unlimited stamina. That would be no fun. We're going to fix that up. Yeah. All right, 4 of 4. You can't really see because my face is blocking it. But if I hide my webcam, you can see up in the top right corner, 4 of 4. That's all there is for the character creation at this stage, but there may yet be something else added to make your character more unique down the track. I'm actually working on the talent trees and level up stuff at the moment, so you'll see this screen again when it's time to level up. I'm really happy with the character creation. There's a nice bit of depth to it, and it's also very accessible. I hope you like it too. So there we have it. It's your first look at character customization in Swords and Sandals Immortals. But there's one other thing I want to talk about today, an important thing that is new this week. And I'll tell you what. The Patreon is back. And this is something I did a couple of years ago for a few months and then abandoned because I didn't feel like I was bringing any value to you guys. But I've had a lot of people say, hey, you should do a Patreon again. We want to support you in whatever way we can. And, you guys already do support me just with the comments, the YouTube comments, the Discord chat, the emails I get, the wonderful support I've had over the years. Just, the goodwill towards this game and this series is phenomenal. And that is absolutely support enough. But as many of you know, this is now a full-time thing for me. This is a dream. This is absolutely my dream. I'm building Swords and Sandals, and in future other games, not just Swords and Sandals. Whiskeybarrel Studios is now my thing, and that's all my income. And I'm really at the mercy of the games selling and not selling. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The last couple of games haven't sold very well, so I want to keep doing this. I hope that Immortals does well. If it doesn't, there may be a more difficult conversation to be had for me anyway. And so I have to do the Patreon again, just to get some more money, really, just to solidify things, make the games better, and just bring a little bit more financial security. So I want to thank these good people, Patreon supporters: Crazy Ant, Badi X, Jandiku Chanari, Noah Gudajan, Nico, XUp Omega, Ilya Gurovich, John Stayskull, and Jeffro of Hex 3D. You guys are the real MVPs. You guys have been supporting me in the past, and now, again, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being Patreons. And I got a little reminder for the rest of you. Hey, go away, Armorer. Yeah, the Armorer is back, and he's going to remind you every week, become a patron. You know what? Look, here's what I'll say about this. Only do this if you have the spare change. And I don't want you, going without food or even going without your daily coffee or anything like that. If you want to support me and want to support the series, and I'll make it worth your while too. This isn't just going to be something that you give me money and there's nothing in it for you. I want to put you in the game. I'm going to do this, what's called the heroic obelisk. So at a certain tier of the Patreon, I'm going to draw a picture of you, and you're going to go up on this big stone, this big, huge obelisk stone that gladiators will visit on their travels, and they'll get buffs, and they'll see a picture of you and maybe a little quote that either you give or, your name or whatever it is. We'll work that out. You're going to be in this game, and any future game I do, I'm going to do something like that to honor every Patreon. And it'll just sort of cycle through these pictures the more you visit the heroic obelisk. You're also going to get these Patreon shout outs every week, and I'm going to put you in the credits to the game. Any level of Patreon gets that. And at the highest level of patronage, you'll also get beta testing access. So whenever there's a beta, you're on it, and you'll be part of the development. I want your feedback and so on, because if you're committed to that level, you obviously love the franchise and my games and Whiskeybarrel Studios, and I really value that. And also you get your own special tier on the Discord as well, a little arena patron with a little yellow thing. So if you like the Discord and that's important to you, that will be yours as well. So, support me on Patreon if you desire. If you don't, your support is fantastic anyway for everything else I've mentioned. I'm not going to do long patron shout outs like this every week, but every week I will do a quick shout out to these legends. All right. You're the best. That's about it for this week in Sword and Sandals developer news. I'm doing the level up screen at the moment, and to the talent trees and so on. That's kind of fun because I got to work out what talents are in the game. There's Arcane, Warfare, Sonic. I may have a fourth one later, but I got to find room for it. I'm going to start with those three for now, and in next week or maybe 2 weeks, I'll show you a video of the talent trees and how that works and the leveling up. If you're interested in these kind of things and you want to find out more about Sword and Sandals Immortals, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you to everybody who does comments and watches these videos. I enjoy doing them, and I really get invaluable feedback from you all about the games. It really does shift the direction of where these games go too. This is the most community-based Sword and Sandals game ever, and that sort of makes sense because it's going to be a multiplayer game at some point. There's going to be the single-player element and the multiplayer element, so it makes sense that I get as much community feedback as I can. And some of the suggestions on, particularly on the Discord suggestions channel, have been phenomenal, and I wish I could put them all in. Even if I put just 10% of them in the game, would be amazing. All right, my friends, thanks for being with me today. A bit of a long video, but there's lots to talk about. And going forward, we'll be showing lots more armor, weapons, fight stuff, gameplay from the series. And be sure... Oh, yeah, one more thing. Oh, yeah, of course. Check this out. Oh, yeah, I nearly forgot. How can I forget? The Swords and Sandals. Check out the game. When the Steam algorithm picks up that the game is getting lots of wish lists, it starts promoting the game internally, and this little sort of trigger appears in the magic black box of Steam, and you start seeing it everywhere. We've already got 400 wish lists, and that's phenomenal. That's really fantastic. I hear the magic number is something like 10,000. I've never had anything close to that, but we've got, 6 to 9 months to get there. So if we can just every day get a few wish lists of the game, tell your friends, let anyone know that they might like the game. This is going to be a multiplayer game, so the multiplayer will be the lifeblood of the game. So the more people know about it, the more people you have to fight. So please, if you enjoy the game, give it a wish list. All right, sorry, very long video today and lots to talk about, but I hope you had as much fun as I did presenting it. It's Friday now, a few more days of Olympics to go. I've been enjoying that, and I hope you've done well, and your country's done well in the Olympics, more importantly. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye for now.